Welcome, 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 everybody, to another Sunday of When Black Women Gather. I'm Helen Higginbotham, the host for When Black Women Gather, where we get together on Sunday afternoons and have intergenerational conversation about all kinds of topics. Today, we're going to be talking about knowing our vagina and what our vagina tells us about our body. Our guest is the lovely Bianca Pitman, who has a podcast that she calls Coochie Conversations. So, and that's a name on purpose, very provocative, and I think it sums up everything that she believes that we should be paying attention to with our bodies. And she's going to talk to us about how our vaginal area, which I don't think we think a lot about, but how central it is to who we are, what we're doing, what's happening in our body, things that we just probably don't pay enough attention to. So, um, let me tell you a little bit about Bianca and then we'll go ahead and get started. Bianca, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you ladies.
Yes. So we're going to talk to Bianca a little bit about who she is and what she does and why she does it. And then we're going to let her take it away for us. And like I said earlier, I want you all to be engaged in the conversation. Bianca does not want to have a one-sided conversation. She doesn't want to feel like she's lecturing us. So please, put notes in the chat, but also, raise your hand and engage in the conversation. Bianca wears many, many hats. One, she's a podcaster, but that's just the least of what she does. And I'll have her, Bianca, make sure you put your links in the chat for all the things that you do. I listened to a couple of her podcasts, they're very interesting. But she's a woman's health advocate, a sacred womb healer, an advocate for Black women, for Black maternal health, a doula, a Yoni Steam Practitioner, and I'm just dying for her to tell us what that's all about. I've heard of it once before or twice. There was a lady on here a long, long time ago. That's the first time I heard about it. But talk to us about what it is, the benefits of it, who does it, why we do it. And I'm going to give you the quote uh, that Bianca shared with us. And she says, the womb is a woman's center. When it is out of balance, so is everything else in a woman's life, physically, emotionally, as well as spiritually. When a woman decides to heal her womb, she heals her mother, her daughter, and every woman around her. So what do you mean by that? That's very encompassing.
Because the womb is a very sacred space. Obviously, we all come from the womb. And we don't always realize that some of the traumas and things that we experience in our adult life or in our life, it takes us all the way back from the womb. It takes us back to, when your grandmother was pregnant with your mother, your grandmother held you, your mother, and her in her uterus, because the woman is born with all the eggs she's ever going to have when she's about 8 weeks gestation. So 8 weeks gestation, you are able to, if you know that you're having a daughter, when you're pregnant, then you know that you are carrying generations. So when you heal yourself, you are healing your past generations before and after you. So the reason why I'm qualified to have this conversation, a little bit about just my backstory of how I even came into this path is, so most women come to, puberty between 13, 14 years of age. They have their first period, which is called menarche. This is their first rites of passage when they enter puberty. I didn't have this first period until I was about almost 18 years old. So when all of my friends, talked about their period and had these conversations, I couldn't relate. I was just like, I'm not there yet. Like, I felt like I was a unicorn for a long time. And my mom worked for Planned Parenthood for 15 years. So when I was about 17, they took me to the doctor and they said, when she's 17 and a half, if she doesn't get her period, we're going to have to bring it down. So they brought it down. They put me on birth control to regulate my period. And I was on birth control since I was 17 years old just to get a period. So I was on birth control for maybe 4 years. I tried different type of birth control methods, realized nothing is really aligning with my body. And it was a real misconception to me because I thought that I'm going to go on this birth control for however long, maybe a couple months. And then once I get off of it, I'll be able to have my period naturally. Because they tell you like it's going to regulate your cycle. So when I realized that in order for me to get a period, and I keep doing this because when you're on birth control, you're not getting a real period. So a lot of women think that when they're on birth control that they're getting this real period, and it's really like a breakthrough bleeding. So if you're familiar with birth control, you have the outer pills, which are the hormones, and you have the inner pills, which are actually sugar pills. When you take those sugar pills, you're creating breakthrough bleeding so that you can actually have what we think is a period. But technically our hormones are shut off on birth control, so you're not ovulating, so you're not having a period.
Well,
So
that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting because I was on the birth control pill from 17 because I had horrific cramps. And this was in the 70s. They were putting young ladies on birth control pills to stop the cramps. And of course, it changed my periods too, which was a beautiful thing. So I'm just thinking of both of our experiences at
yeah,
17,
so I went on just to get a period out, and then I got off of it. Once I got off of it, I didn't get a period anymore. So I went maybe almost 10 years without getting my period when I got off the birth control. So that's just when I thought I was a unicorn. Because I'm like, and then everybody complained about how horrible their periods were anyway. So I'm like, why do I want a period if all y'all do is complain all day? So my mom also had fibroids, and I watched her bleed profusely my whole life. So when I got 28-ish, I was like, okay, this is not normal. Like, you want to have kids at some point, like you need to figure out what's going on with your menstrual cycle. So I went to the endocrinologist, and he told me I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a hormonal imbalance that 1 in 10 women have, where she actually produces more testosterone than she does estrogen. Or she has more androgens than she does estrogen. And this is why some women have a lot of like facial hair and stuff like that. It's called hirsutism. Me, I don't have more androgens, but I did have more testosterone, which was why when they put me on a birth control, it was always like a low estrogen dose. So the doctor told me, if you don't have 6 natural periods in 6-month period, you could be prone to breast cancer and uterine cancer. His thing was just get me back on the birth control. Like, you need to get on birth control to get this period. And I kept telling him, like, well, if I'm on birth control for too long, I'm prone to breast cancer and uterine cancer, because it should be a time frame to be on the birth control, and you're not giving me a time frame. And then I said, you want me to just see blood in my panties and think that I have a period, when birth control doesn't really give you a real period. So now when I'm at this doctor and I'm advocating for myself and I'm having this back and forth conversation, because, doctors just think that what I say goes, I went to school, whatever. My thing is, you can't tell me much. You can tell me things, but you can't tell me much about a body that I've been in for 30 years. Like, you can come in and maybe tell me, you come into the room for 10 minutes and you're trying to tell me about a body that I've been in for 30 years. And then, not to mention, I'm an educated woman. I like to read. So once he realized, he's like, how do you know this information? I'm like, I read. Like, and I told him that I wasn't going to go on the birth control, that I was going to vaginal steam. So prior to getting into this holistic realm of things, I've already was a licensed cosmetologist for 10 years. I was making products already, holistic hair products first. So I wanted to pivot a little bit and offer more holistic things, but I don't believe in offering things that I don't have a personal experience with. So I went home and I created a vaginal steam blend, because I've been working with herbs for a very long time. And I created a blend that gave me a period in 4 days. So I went from never getting my period naturally to having a natural period in 4 days from vaginal steaming. And it inspired me to want to help other women with similar menstrual irregularities or reproductive issues, because I've also been told that I was never able to conceive either, because if I'm not getting a period, I can't have a baby. But if you want me to be on birth control for my whole life, how am I have a baby? So, you know, it was just a lot of counterproductive things that I was being told. And like I said, I have a 7-month-old son now. So I
Yes.
testimony to my own medicine, my own healing. So this is a vaginal steam that we create. I'll go into vaginal steaming and its benefits and stuff in a little bit. But at first I want to, so yeah, I became certified in healing the vagina naturally through Whole Foods and traditional Chinese medicine, where I create vaginal steam blends based off the energy of the herbs and what's actually going on within your womb. Excuse me. So, in this time now, I've been doing this for about 7 years now. I've learned a lot about women. I've learned a lot about the feminine body, and I learned a lot about what, thank you, a lot about what women don't know. And today I want to have the Coochie Conversations that you've never had before. I want to answer, you know, all of your questions. And if there's something that I'm not familiar with, I will definitely get back to you with information. Like I said, I like to research things. But I created Coochie Conversations because I realized that, thank you, we're not privileged to this information. And I was privileged to this information. And my mom would teach my sexual health classes in school. And I would raise my hand and she'd be like, no, not you, not you. Because I just knew everything all the time. I don't know why my throat is like tickling. Hold on a second. Let me mute for a second.
This is interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, so she would teach my health classes in high school and stuff like that. And I just always thought that women were privileged to this information. And
And she's
then
teaching it because she's working for Planned Parenthood.
she was working for Planned Parenthood, and she used to have this book that she would pull out in front of all of my friends, and it had all the diseases in it. So I'll have friends over, and she'd be like, "You want to know what herpes looks like? You want to know?" And it would just try to like keep us deterred from wanting to, you know, be sexually promiscuous and stuff like that. So she always would teach the vaginal health classes, and I learned a lot just from being in this household with a woman who, you know, has all this information, thinking that everybody had this information too, and then realizing my friends would come over and be like, my parents don't talk to me about this, or I don't know about this, or whatever. So I just created Coochie Conversations first it started off as a Clubhouse group. Then we moved it to Zoom on Instagram. And then last year around June, we turned it into a podcast because I was pregnant and I couldn't commit to the Zoom every week or whatever from being pregnant. So I turned it to a podcast, which has been awesome. But also just wanted to create a safe space for women where they could have these candid conversations and not be judged. And, you know, yeah, you might have had bacterial vaginosis. Yeah, you might have had a yeast infection. Like, these are things that women go through, and it doesn't make you dirty. It doesn't make you, you know, anything because you've had an unbalanced pH. And I just wanted to show women that we are, you know, we have a lot of similarities as women, and there's just things that we've been taught not to talk about. And I just wanted to have those taboo conversations that people want to have, but are ashamed to have. So today I want to even start as basic as, because I realized, like, in my conversations with women, they don't even know the parts of their vagina. They don't know the parts of the vagina, you know, or the vulva and the functionality of it. They don't have a real relationship with their genitalia because we're not taught to, you know. So we're taught, you know, as women, it's there maybe because we're supposed to have babies, and God forbid we have pleasure, you know. So how many women would say they have a connection with their womb? Can you like maybe drop a heart or a thumbs up or something and in the chat, and let me know like how many of you would say that you're very familiar with her, that you know what's going on when something's going on, that you know the functionality.
I'm speaking because I can't find it, but this is Diane, and I'm just going to say yes, I do.
Hi, Diane. Thank you for coming today.
Hi, Bianca. Love
Diane is
being
going
here.
to, I'm going to have Diane share a little later her experience with me and why I asked her to speak today with us. Diane is a blessing, and you guys are all going to see why she's such a blessing in a little bit. Oh, I'm getting some. Okay, so
Got a few hearts out there.
okay, so I think I do. My daughter has PCOS. I think it's challenging to get her what I recommend for her. I do. Since my healing journey, I became better, connect and love with my whole self. I love that. Birth control Norplant caused me to become an info. Yes, let's talk about it.
I remember Norplant. That was a
my
bad
latest
thing
Coochie
for Black women.
Conversation, my latest Coochie Conversations episode is about birth control, and it is about the Norplant and how I can go on for days about the Norplant.
Remind people what Norplant was. It was the 5 needles that they were putting
So
under your
Norplant
skin.
is like the 5 sticks that gets inserted in your arm. It was actually created to sterilize Black women. So the fact that she says that it caused her to be sterile, infertile at 25, it caused PCOS, which inadequately researched has caused lifelong issues with insulin resistance and hormonal imbalances. Knowing long history of the med community and sterilization of Black women, what is your advice for treating PCOS? So I would love to chat with you separately, and maybe you can book a womb healing consultation with me, and we could really, I can come up with a whole plan with how you, because it's diet, it's lifestyle, it's Ayurvedic medicine, it can be acupuncture. I can go on for days on how I could support you, but we can do that maybe offline. If you're interested, I can give you the link to my calendar and you can book a consultation with me. So I can say like the Norplant was created to sterilize Black women. They used to actually test women in California. It was like during the crack epidemic, I forgot how many women, but they gave Black women in inner city neighborhoods, basically the ones who were strung out on crack, they would come up to them and give them $200 a piece to test out this birth control method. And most of them were on Skid Row. So a lot of them did test out the method and became sterile after the the clinical trials. There was this one lady, I forgot where she was from, but she was actually about to be like put in jail for like abusing her child. And the judge told her, if you try this birth control, we'll give you 6 months probation. So she was like, okay. So she told her doctor, I'm going to try this birth control, this and that. And the doctor told her, like, you can't try this birth control because what a lot of women don't also know is that everything is not for you. So it depends on your weight. It depends on a lot of things when you're getting on certain birth control methods. And she was a heavier woman. And he was telling her, like, this birth control method is not even going to be effective because your weight and you have high blood pressure, this and that, I don't advise you to go on it. So she went back to the courts and she said, I went to my doctor and he said that he doesn't advise me to go on it. They made her go on it anyway. So, and she was a Black woman. So, and then not to mention, it's not expensive to get it put in the body, but they charge about $500 to take it out of the body. And a lot of women end up having it in longer than they're supposed to because they can't even afford to take it out. So,
and I remember too, I worked for a stint with, I won't say which, but a very popular family planning organization. And they were giving, in the inner city, they were giving it to Black women. Black women were losing their hair. I think it was making them gain weight. It was just not a good thing for us. And anytime they're pushing something to the Black community, that's a red
right.
flag.
And you said it was studied in Maryland and proven to cause sterilization before FDA approval. So even the birth control in general, the birth control pill was created by 2 men, one John Rock and Gregory Pincus. John Rock was a gynecologist and Gregory Pincus was an endocrinologist, and they teamed up to create the birth control pill. In the beginning, birth control wasn't allowed in the US. So they took the clinical trials to inner city neighborhoods, but in Puerto Rico. And they tested on like 132 women over a course of 12 months. And 5 women died from the clinical trial, and one of them died from suicide. But they still approved, the birth control, even though 5 women died off of it, just from the clinical trials. So Do you attribute the rise in infants to all types of birth control? Yes, I think, I definitely think birth control is a defining factor, especially because women are getting on methods of birth control that they don't understand, for long amounts of time. Like I remember when I first started vaginal steaming and talking about it, I had this woman, this white woman actually reached out to me and told me that, you know, I inspired her to take her IUD out, and she had the IUD in for 20 years. And I'm like, how on earth does your doctor allow you to have something in you that's only meant to be maybe 3 to 5? Yes, James Marion Sims is the father of gynecology. And he would do surgeries on vaginal fistula surgeries on Black women. And he killed a substantial amount of women before he moved to another state and was able to just keep practicing. And honestly, his education was only about 6 months to a year of education, and he was out here just, you know, doing surgery on Black women with no anesthesia, thinking that we didn't feel any pain. And then he would take, you know, the information that he learned and he would do it on the white women, but he would give them pain medicine. And there was a lot of
statues in his honor have been removed all around the country.
Yes. So I'm happy you brought that up, because I talk about him very much just in his horrendous effects and disparities of Black women. Like fundamentally, like that's where it all started with him basically. And then for them to call him the father of gynecology, which is bullshit. So sorry, excuse my language. But so I've been on the pill, I've been on the patch, I've been on the ring, I've been on almost everything. Almost. I haven't tried any, like a depot. Like my mom had depot and she literally bled 3 months straight, lost her hair, you know. So and then now the fact that they are putting, you know, birth control is available over the counter now, which is alarming to me. As of last week, I want to say birth control is now about to be or available over the counter. And I was having a conversation with someone and they were like, oh yeah, I think that's a good thing. And I'm like, no, because like I have this one young lady I spoke to, she was telling me she was on birth control, but she's never been to the gynecologist. So I said, how are you on birth control? You've never been to the gynecologist. I said, how are you 24 years old? You never had a pap smear. And she's like, she didn't know what a pap smear was. And she got the birth control from her college campus. They just handed it out to her. But like, they don't know what underlying issues she may have, you know, like a lot of these birth controls, like Yaz was the first birth control that they put on the market to kind of market hormonal imbalance, but also PMS. And then they, I think there's a documentary called The Business of Birth Control by Ricky Lake. She also has The Business of Being Born, but the business, so she talks about both, it's both documentaries on just the messed up things that go on in the birthing industry, but also in the birth control industry, as far as the pharmaceuticals and things like that. And in that documentary, they spoke about just the amount of lawsuits and things that are happening with birth control. Like I think NuvaRing right now has like over 1,000 lawsuits. They have so many lawsuits that they don't even have enough money to pay everybody for, you know, the injustice that's happened. I think one lady was saying that her daughter died from pulmonary embolism. So a lot of women are getting pulmonary embolisms from birth control. And not to judge anybody, but if you also have gotten vaccinated, you know, there is already a high alarming rate of blood clots, heart attacks, strokes and stuff with women who are vaccinated. And then you go and compromise your body doubly by getting on a birth control. And you're just really, you know, making your likelihood of just heart attacks and strokes just even higher. And as women, we have more heart attacks than men anyway, just as being women. So it's like we have to really know our bodies and know, you know, why are we going on this birth control? Because a lot of women, you know, we go to the gynecologist, like it's gonna help you with your period, it's gonna help you with your skin, it's gonna help you with all these things, but it doesn't tell you what it's not gonna help you with, or what it's actually doing, the underlying things that it's doing. Like it don't tell you about, you know, your the bone loss, the bone density loss, or like how you start to mess up your metabolism and your fertility and you're vitamin D deficient, vitamin B deficient, you're zinc deficient, your ovaries getting enlarged. It's just all these things that happen when we're on birth control, but they don't talk about all the things that's happening. They don't talk about be at risk of a stroke or a heart attack. They just want you to, like I said, see blood in your panties and maybe not have as many. I had terrible cramps on birth control. I had the worst. I thought it was a demon inside of me every time I had a period. Then when
I miss a day of school every year, every month. Every month I miss at least.
So then when I got into Yoni steaming and stuff, and I realized like, hey, periods don't have to be painful. They're not supposed to be painful because your womb is, your period is your fifth vital sign. So like your heart is a vital sign, your lungs, you can tell a lot by what's going on by these parts of your body. So when you have your period, we have yin and yang energy in our period, in our wombs. So it's the energy flow within our wombs. When you are having your period, or when you have cramps, it's really your womb telling you that something is off balance. But we're not taught to really listen to our womb because we're so disconnected from her. We're not even taught to be in tune with her. So we're not speaking her language. So what do instead? We go and get Midol. We go and get ibuprofen. We just drug her up. We just continue to drug her up, and then we go to the doctor, get birth control. We just sedate her all the time instead of listening to her agony and understanding why we are experiencing what we're experiencing. We just go and we try to cover it up because that's what westernized medicine does. It just tries to cover up the problem instead of getting to the underlying cause of it. And
you have a hand up when you're ready for it.
What do I do? Press it?
Just no, go around. Miss Rose, did you want to come on camera?
Go ahead, Miss Rose.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I just wanted to ask if we could take a minute and kind of breathe. I didn't know that this conversation was going to be this heavy. You came out the door like dropping a bomb on us. And
sorry.
I just no, don't be sorry. It's just I just needed to take a moment, maybe if we could collectively kind of like process everything that you just said, because it got real heavy for me real quick.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We can take some deep breaths.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Was there anything specific you?
Mm-hmm. Can you guys put your hands like this?
Your hands like this?
And put it on your womb. You know where your womb is. Right below your belly button. Okay. Hold it there. Close your eyes. And just take a deep breath in. Hold for 4 seconds. Let it out. Do it again. Hold for 4 seconds. Let it out. How you feel? So this is called the Yoni Mudra. Mudras are like hand movements that move energy within the body. And when you put this mudra on your womb, you're really balancing your womb, you're balancing the energy in your womb, you're balancing the hormones in your womb, and you're really just feeling that sacred space. So, you can do that anytime on your own. You can also put your hand on your heart and one hand on your womb and really just breathe into it. Because I know that this conversation is heavy, I wanted to read something to you guys, but I'm not sure how it's going to be received after even what I've just said, feeling like, it's a little much for you guys. So let me know if you want me to read this poem to you guys. It's called And I Call Myself a Woman. And I feel like it's important because a lot of us call ourselves women, but we don't even know our wombs. We don't know a lot about, our womb or what she's been through. Well, we know what she's been through, but we don't really, like I said, we're not taught to really connect with her in ways. So like this poem can very much bring up a lot of feelings and a lot of experiences that you may have had as a woman where you kind of just shut down on her. But I promise it may get a little heavy, but I promise it'll get light at the end. But I just feel like.
Can I ask a question?
It's important. Yes.
before you read the poem, and I certainly want you to read it, would you please demonstrate the hand movement again for the womb?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. That looks familiar. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Joe.
I'm sorry, can you do that again and show us how you're putting it in front of your womb? And we should just move our arms and hands
Yeah, you no, you
forward and backward.
just sit it there and just breathe into it. Take some deep breaths. You know, as this conversation, how you feel and flow through this conversation, if you feel like, you know, things are getting a little too heavy for you, you can always bring yourself back to center and just, you know, hold it and take some deep breaths. And I'll probably do a little womb meditation before we close out anyway. So.
And does
We
it
have
matter about the age of women who are, it doesn't matter age, like
No,
those
because everybody,
who are,
it doesn't matter.
Um,
Everybody has a womb. Even if you've had a hysterectomy, you still have a womb space. You still have this energetic space. So if you're familiar, if some of you are familiar with chakras, we have 7 chakras that go up the base of our spine, starting at the root. The root chakra keeps us grounded. So it's a seat of our being. And then we have our sacral chakra, which is where you are actually putting this mudra, because the sacral chakra is your womb chakra. This is the chakra that is associated with fertility, hormonal imbalances, menstruation, everything. And when this chakra is out of balance, that's when everything else in your life can be out of balance as well. So then we go up to the solar plexus chakra, which is right above your navel, which is our personal power. Every chakra is correlated with a color. So red is orange. Root chakra is red. Your sacral chakra is orange. Your solar plexus chakra is yellow. Your heart chakra is green. Your throat chakra is blue. Hence why I'm wearing blue today, because I'm talking to you guys. Your third eye chakra is indigo, and your crown chakra is violet. So I will go over this later on, also because I want to talk to you guys about menopause, and that's going to correlate with your chakras. So let's get to this poem.
Bianca, you have 2 hands up. I didn't know if you wanted to take the questions
go
or
ahead.
read the poem.
Nope, we can
Read the
take.
poem first. Okay, Miss Martinez, you have a
Hi,
question?
good afternoon to the collective. I'm just so blessed to be here. I am a little biased. Judge me not. I work here, but I just want to for the space, for the sense of clearing it, I really just want to take this moment before the poem to really just embrace the feminine unity that we're experiencing right now. I don't know if anybody reads the Bible, but you know, when you correct somebody or when you give somebody information or when you educate somebody, it's because you love them or you have an affection for their greatness. So the fact that Bianca dedicates her life to women and the servitude of women and bettering us and connecting us to our nature is just so like a breath of fresh air. I'm a better mother. I'm a better brand consultant, and I'm a better woman because of Bianca's practices, but also because of her fellowship. She is dedicated to the wellness of women in a way that I've never seen before. Like I experience it in my own life, and to know that she is reaching different generations of women and bring us together with the commonality that we are just women and we are just navigating earth, having a human experience, and to align the metaphysical with the physical, with the spiritual, with the elements of education is so eloquently put. Like, and I really hope that you guys really take in what she's giving, because this is just a surface. If you book a consultation, you'll see for yourself. She'll teach you how to read your own body. She doesn't know anything about your body that you can't learn on your own. She's not going to give you a master key lock. She just teaches you an understanding and a certain awareness that we all should have. And as we take this breath before the poem, I hope you know that there's no shame in this space for learning something we didn't know 10 minutes ago. And there's no limit to learning something new about something that's already been working for you. And there's always something new to learn about an old machine. There's always a new trick you can learn about your body, especially having lived in it so long. And that's why I encourage you have the consultation, because you may know some things about your body that you don't think are like happenstance. Oh yeah, I get a pimple that time of the month, or I haven't had that time of the month for 4 years and I'm spotting now. Like those little nuances, you may think it's something small, but having a consultation with Bianca, she can pinpoint exactly what herb, what remedy, or what offset of a symptom that might be to help you unlock the code of your body. So again, thank you for holding space for us. I'm only 37 years old, but I'm learning so much about my body every day. My daughter's turning 16 in a few months, and the more I learn myself, the more I can show up for her. So I just thank you, Bianca, for holding space for us. Thank you for the collective for inviting Bianca on. She truly is the GOAT at what she does. She's so well versed, and I'm just so privileged to have her as a friend, as a mentor, but above all, my sister. So thank you all for listening. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you have her contact information because she's booked. So catch her while you can.
Oh, that
What
was
a wonderful
beautiful.
endorsement. Beautiful.
Oh,
Thank you.
that was emotional. I wasn't ready for that. I should have known when I saw her hand up that you should have went last, girl. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms.
Hi.
Martinez. Go ahead,
Yes,
Kilpia.
thank
You have a
you.
question?
I'm all
Kilpia?
tearing and stuff. Come on, Joe.
Oh, it's all good. It's all women here. Do your thing.
You're
You're
Kilpia,
muted.
you're
muted,
muted, babe.
Sophia. Okay,
Kilpia, you're muted.
you're muted.
Hold on, let me try to unmute her.
She's
Okay, I'm just talking. Hi, Bianca.
So,
And thank you, Joanne, for that appreciation of Bianca. It's a lot, so I'm glad that the other sister stepped in and asked you to slow down a little and, give us.
yeah.
It's a lot, and you're talking across generations, and what came to my mind is that, in generations around my age and older, a lot of women had hysterectomies because they had fibroid tumors. I had a uterine artery embolization that really didn't help because I was trying to deal with size and not really bleeding. But, lots of pain, lots of cramping, like Miss Higgy said, every month, missing a day of school. First day was just horrendous. And then in college, when I went to the infirmary, they would give me Percocet. And that worked for the time that I was in school. But of course, when I got out of school, the regular doctor was like, we don't do that. So there's just a lot. Oh, okay. We have a little one. Hi.
He
Sorry.
woke up on you, huh?
Yeah, he wants to get out his chair.
Hey. Yeah, so just to kind of I don't know how transparent people want to be on here, or if they want to say some of the things that they've, gone through. A number of people don't have, people in my generation and just a few, maybe even 5 years older than me, a number of women who wanted to be mothers couldn't be because they had fibroid tumors, and it was recommended that they just go ahead and have a hysterectomy. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up too. And
Yeah.
forward to you talk about menopause too.
Yeah, so I do want to talk about fibroids, especially because my mom had fibroids. So those of you who aren't familiar with fibroids, they are malignant tumor, well, benign tumors, non-cancerous tumors that take place in the womb. They can take place in 3 different places in the womb. It can be like in the lining of the uterus, inside the uterus. So we have 3 different linings of the uterus, and depending on where it is in the uterus, so it can be like I said, in the lining, it can block the vaginal canal. It can, a lot of women who have fibroids, they also may have to get a C-section because they can't have a vaginal birth. And then there are women who, you could get a myomectomy surgery, which takes the fibroids out, but there's 9 times out of 10, they do come back. And the only time they really don't come back, they say, is if you have a hysterectomy. I've been blessed to help many women with fibroids through vaginal steaming. The key to that is catching it when they're small. A lot of doctors like to do this. Let's see if it grows. Let's see if it gets bigger. And then it's like, all right, now it's bigger. Now what? Now you just want me to like cut my whole uterus out. But if you would have caught it when it was smaller, I could have saved my uterus. But I don't want also women to feel like they don't have a womb because they don't have a uterus anymore, you know, like, because like I said, you still have that womb space, you still have that womb trauma. You actually have a lot of trauma to your womb space because you've taken the womb out, you know, so it's still something to navigate and really connect to the new you. So I've correlated, and yeah, it might be a little TMI, but how many of you have had fibroids, but also had like digestive issues, like didn't like move your bowels every day? Can you, if you want to like, oh yeah, I was putting my calendar info in there. So I find that women, so okay, when I correlate the womb and fibroids or the colon and fibroids, we're technically supposed to, if we eat 3 times a day, we're technically supposed to use the bathroom 3 times a day. So if you eaten 3 times today, but you only poop once a week, but you're supposed to eat 3 times a day and poop 3 times a day, you're supposed to take 21 poops in a day. I mean, in a week. When women have fibroids, they have estrogen dominance. So the estrogen lives in the stool. And if we're not releasing and eliminating this stool, it gets reabsorbed into the body. So most women I find that have fibroids have digestive issues because they have estrogen dominance because they're not using the bathroom. So they're just really holding on to all the estrogen. So she said, yes, I had a fibroid and digestive issues. I had fibroid removed, no fibroids, but poor elimination. Yeah, so then it's like when we don't use the bathroom for 7 days, or because I've always been regular, but then I realized that there's women that didn't use the bathroom, maybe only use the bathroom once a week. And, you know, excuse my language, but like you're literally filled with shit because you're not using the bathroom. So your colon starts to kind of like, hold the weight down on your womb. And then this is why sometimes when we end up having our periods, we have such painful periods because it's heavy because we're not eliminating enough. So I would say to just be mindful of even, you know, having more fiber in your diet when you have fibroids. Green tea is very great for fibroids as far as trying to shrink them. Eliminating the amount of meats you eat, because if you have estrogen dominance and then we're eating, you know, you eat like a 10-piece wings, maybe Popeyes or whatever. A chicken only has 2 wings, you know? So it's like you're eating like 5 different chickens when you eat this 10-piece wing, and they all have different, you know, they put hormones in these chickens and stuff like that. So it's like we're eating all these hormones every day, and then we're not eliminating. So like we're just holding on to the hormones in our body, and they're creating like these tumors and things. So I think just being more mindful of, because it's not just always, oh, use this. Sometimes, like I said, it's dietary, it's lifestyle, it's a lot of things that encompass when it comes to, you know, trying to heal your body naturally. The doctors think that you can just take a pill or do something and it's fine, but diet didn't help my constipation until I started eliminating toxins in my diet and reducing my toxic load. Exactly. So I feel like, you know, just incorporating more fiber, more leafy greens, more dark leafy greens, not telling you to become vegetarian or pescatarian or vegan, but just being more mindful of what you consume as far as the meats. Where is it coming from? Or you may be eating like halal, you know, food and things like that, things that are like more blessed and more intentional when you're eating your food. We create teas for women we have a hormonal tea. Joanne's holding it right now. It's called Femininity, and it helps with a plethora of hormonal imbalances. I have taken out in 2015. Yes, and drinking, never thought of that, 10 wings. Yes, drinking plenty of water. I had a few taken out in 2015. Now I have a small one in the back of my uterus. They grow again. You're right. I'm on birth control though, since teenager. please schedule a consultation, because being on birth control since 15 and you're 53 now is a very long time. And I don't understand why your doctor has allowed you to be on
Long time. Wow.
on for that long, because you never know what's, like birth control is taught to shut off our hormones and stuff. So it's like, you never really know what's festering underneath, because like, if I would have just went on the birth control and I have PCOS, it's like, you're not really getting to the underlying problem of my issue.
Right.
You're just putting me on birth control. So you've been on birth control for most of your life. You don't know what your uterus is like. And it was for painful periods, but like I said, I don't believe that a period has to be painful. So a healthy period is 4 to 5 days in length, little to no cramps, no brown blood before or after a period, and no blood clots. So most women don't have a healthy period. Most women have painful periods, they have blood clots, they have brown blood, and some women's periods last 7 to 10 days. But that's not normal. And it definitely, are you out of New Jersey? I'm in LA right now, but I am from New Jersey, and I will be in New Jersey soon. I'm not telling you the date because Joanne's not supposed to know, but yeah, I'm coming very short in a couple weeks before May. So I'm sorry, he's distracting me a little bit.
Okay. So can you, I know you want to read the poem, but
yeah,
you
let's say
keep
we'll be
talking
right there.
about steaming and how, and when you
Right.
finish it,
Okay, so
can you talk about how steaming is
I'm
used
gonna
to
share
regulate?
I'm gonna share my screen. But I'm like, we keep talking about steaming and y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. So
Because when you're talking about using it for herbs, I don't know what I thought steaming was. I didn't
yeah, I
realize
want to know.
that.
Can you drop in the chat what you guys think? What's your conception of steaming? Damn, it's not. Hold on. I'm trying to show my screen. And I have something to show you. 7, what are you doing?
Come on, slides.
If I
She's
can.
trying to show her slides.
Yeah, I'm showing the steam while she looks this up. Like, here's some of the ingredients on the packaging. It's so beautiful. This packaging actually holds 4 steams. So I use like about a tablespoon of herbs per method.
So, okay, revitalize your feminine health through vaginal steaming. Let's talk about it. So, when it comes to steam, steam is an invisible gas consisting of vaporized water, which forms when you boil it. Steam supports the womb by warming the womb. So, a lot of, our first go-to when we have our period is to use a heating pad, or wear something warm. It's our innate nature to think of to use something warm, but we don't think of using something as warm as standing or sitting, squatting over a bowl of warm water. So this allows the energy within your womb to move freely, because a lot of us have so like 95% of women have stagnated blood within their uterus, and this is why they have such painful periods and blood clots. So yoni steaming is a uterine cleanse where a woman sits, kneels, or squats or hovers over a steaming pot of water, allowing the steam to permeate the interior and exterior of her vagina. And it could have herbs in it, or it doesn't have to have herbs in it. So like if you're not an herbalist and you don't know what to put in the yoni steam, you can literally just squat over warm water, boiling water, and this is going to loosen up whatever stagnancy that you have within your womb. So originally, yoni steaming was performed by medicine women, doulas, midwives, to promote postpartum recovery and postpartum healing. So vaginal steaming is known as a couple different things. You might hear vaginal steam, V-steam, yoni steam, chi-yoke, bajo, and it's been used in a plethora of different countries, Asia, Central America, Africa, Guatemala, even, there's European countries that use vaginal steaming. So the physical benefits of a yoni steam would be it regulates absent and infrequent periods. It relieves heavy menstrual cramps and painful cycles. It helps increase fertility, naturally tones the reproductive system after childbirth, affects treating ovarian cysts, fibroids, uterine prolapse, and endometriosis. Gently speeds up the postpartum recovery for women. It helps a woman postpartum emotionally, physically, and mentally. I love steaming postpartum. 7. It assists with breaking generational curses, trauma, diseases. So like for me, I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. No, my mom didn't have polycystic ovarian syndrome, but she had fibroids, and so did my grandmother. So as I heal myself, I'm healing my maternal lineage. It also treats chronic yeast infections and bacterial infections. So it balances your pH, balances the vaginal flora, because some women are like, oh, why would I Yoni steam? Isn't it going to mess up my pH? No. And it also assists in healing hemorrhoids, vaginal tearing that can happen from, childbirth. And then as far as menopause symptoms, it helps with vaginal dryness, hormonal imbalance, hot flashes, and it helps with your libido. Sure. Am I going too fast? I can't see the comments right now, so let me know if I'm going too fast. And I'm sorry, 7. 7 in right now. As far as the spiritual benefits, if any of you are into spiritual practices, it helps align the chakras that I briefly spoke about earlier. It helps build your self-esteem and your confidence, balances your emotions, clears womb trauma, releases cellular memories of sexual and physical and sexual trauma. So it can help you navigate. I've heard women tell me that they've healed their mother wounds on my Yoni steams. They've healed their sexual traumas on my Yoni steams. Stimulates healthy. 7. What'd you say? Stimulates healthy sexual energy, helps you tap into your femininity, and it also helps release stagnant energy and boost creativity. Because like I said earlier, like we have energy in our hips, and when we're not using that energy, all energy, so sexual energy and creative energy are the same energy. And so when you are feeling sexual and you're aroused and stuff, you don't necessarily have to have sex. You can go paint a picture, because all the energy is the same energy. So this helps release energy and boost your creativity. Releasing whatever energy is stagnant and helps bring that creative energy out of you, whether it's through pleasure purposes or just being creative. I'm going to look at the comments for a second before
I'm glancing at them for you.
So
Bianca.
no, only thing, okay, so the difference between Yoni steaming and douche is, so douching is an apparatus. Douching is the plastic thing that you put in, you insert in your vagina. It's not necessarily what's in the douche, because douching is a apparatus. So the only reason why douche is frowned upon is because of what's in the douche. When you go and you buy conventional brands, they have a lot of fragrances, they have a lot of chemicals, they have a lot of things in them that don't align with the Yoni. And Yoni, I use Yoni, Coochie, Vagina synonymously. The word Yoni is a Sanskrit word, it's a Hindu Sanskrit word for womb. And it correlates the vagina, the womb, and the uterus, but also the spiritual space, not just the physical uterus that we have. So you could actually take the herbal water that you have and allow it to cool off, and then you can pour it into a douche type of bottle or peri steam type of bottle and insert it that way. It's like I said, it's what's in the douche that makes it bad for you, not necessarily the physical action of douching. And yes, douches are still around. If you go to Walgreens, you're going to see Summer's Eve, Vagisil douche on the shelves, and those are the type of douches. And I hate to talk down on conventional brands, but those are the type of things that I stay away from.
I remember when we were kids, a lot of the older women would have those big rubber looking bags, I guess that was for a douche. Does anybody remember
Oh, so
that?
the
And
big, we're looking back, wasn't that for the stomach, like for the period?
don't know. Somebody tell me who's on here that remembers those bags.
They were
They would
like,
always be.
something.
This is Donna. I remember those bags, and they were used for douching.
Okay.
What I thought.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I was a '60s baby.
Yeah. But I just remember seeing them. I don't remember anybody ever saying. You knew there was something to do with women, but
Mhm.
you didn't
Of,
exactly know.
I've heard of people flushing their buttocks out with it. I don't know
Oh,
that.
so more like bidet?
They were
no,
used with
no. It was
vinegar,
a big
More like an
rubber
enema.
bag.
It's like
Oh,
an
like an
enema.
vinegar
enema,
and
like an
water.
enema.
Blue
Okay.
or
Let me check out-
Mm-mm.
Okay,
It
I
was
see.
a
I've seen it before, but I thought that it was for your, your abdomen or something when you fill it over,
Mm-mm.
put it on.
You would put vineger and water together
Okay,
and mix
Yes.
I
it
was
in
gonna
there,
say, I was
and
gonna say,
you hold it up so it
And
drains
you
in,
squeeze it and let it
and you
drain.
squeeze it.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
was
you
gonna
would
And
put a
that was
tube in your
also
vagina?
you can
Yes.
in the
definitely
vagina.
use
Okay.
vinegar and
But that
water.
was also to help. Well, back in the day, they talked a lot about how being on your period was this nasty, disconnected thing. So douching was to help cleanse you, keep you clean.
Speaking of, for me, for somebody who went so long, oh yes, we got some products to come out. For somebody who went so long without receiving her period and always thought I was a unicorn, once I changed the trajectory of my menstrual cycle by
Enemas. That's what.
doing my
Sorry.
own vaginal steams and stuff like that, I realized how powerful it is as a woman for you to be able to menstruate every month. So I feel like one of the reasons why men dislike us is because we have this ability to really release everything that we've culminated through all month. So like the moon, we go through phases, the moon wanes and waxes every month. Our uterus does the same thing when it's filling up with, toxins and emotions and all these things from the month that we went through. And then we have this time that we're able to just woosah and let it go. And this is why sometimes, your period may be good this month and your period may be bad next month, but you always got to check in with your emotions. Because like I said, like your period is your fifth vital sign. So it's telling you a lot about what you went through in the last couple of weeks. You might have had a breakup and your period might be terrible because you just had all these, this emotions with your period, with your breakup, and now you're really releasing it. Where a man, he can't release anything. He has to go through his days every month, and he can't know his emotions and stuff is he's just stuck with it. And this is why I feel like men don't live as long as women because they don't have the ability to really release like we do. And I realized how powerful I was just as a woman to have this innate ability to just it's a very spiritual time for us. It's a very receptive time for us. But I feel like because we're in such a patriarchal society, we're not taught, and we're in like this masculine energy all the time. We're not taught to really tune in and go inward during our periods because we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do all these things, but we feel like we got to do all these things except for rest. So if you look at your period, for those of you who still have it, we have 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, just like we have 4 phases of the moon, just like we have 4, directions. Like everything is really connected when you look at it from a space of us being one. And just like we have the 4 seasons. So your womb goes through 4 seasons throughout your menstrual cycle. And I realized that, I'm sorry. I realized that many women don't know the difference between their menstrual cycle and their period. So I have these consultations with women and I'm like, how long is your period? And they'll say 7 days. And then I'll be like, well, how long is your menstrual cycle? And they say 7 days. So I realized that women don't even know the difference between the menstrual cycle and the period. So the menstrual cycle is a cycle that we go through. Let me see if I have something I can show you guys. It's a cycle that we go through of, let's see, it can be 28 days, 30 days for some women. Let's see if I got it right here.
So in that slide that was just up there, the lady that was sitting in the lower left-hand corner, she's
You-
sitting is she sitting on a bucket and the steamer is in there? Is that how that's happening?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you in just a second.
Okay.
So we have different phases of our menstrual cycle, just like we have different phases or different seasons of the year. So when you're in your period, you're actually in this, you bleed between maybe 1 and 5 days, and this is the time of your winter season. And when we think of winter, what do we normally do in winter? We stay inside, we hibernate, animals, they hibernate, they get ready for the springtime. And this is our winter season within our bodies. So when we're on our period, it's okay to say no. It's okay to just tune into yourself. It's okay to just not want to do anything. You can maybe do light exercise. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to feel like you have all this pressure, because it really is a time of releasing, but also tuning into your body. So I just think that the fact that we're in such a patriarchal masculine society, that we're not really taught to really go inward with ourselves. And so this is the winter phase. Then we go to the follicular phase. After our period, we have spring. So we go to this follicular phase, which is the time where we start to ovulate. So when you think of the seasons, we have winter, we have spring, because spring things start to sprout, and then we have the summer, and the summer starts to heat things up. So this is when the summertime in our period is like when we're ovulating. This is the time when we can get pregnant, because if you look at it from an energetic perspective, we have yin and yang energy within our wombs. So if you know anything about yin and yang, yin is a very feminine energy and yang is a very masculine energy. So when you're in your period, you're in this yin stage, you're in this dark spiritual stage, you're in your feminine energy. Then you start to go into the yang stage when you ovulate. This is why people ask me like, oh, is it just natural birth control? Yeah, tracking your cycles is natural birth control. This is why everybody should know their menstrual cycles, because your temperature changes throughout your menstrual cycles. And most women who are like trying to do fertility and things like that, they wait for their temperature to raise and they know when they're ovulating. But if you don't know your normal temperature throughout your menstrual cycle, you're not going to know when it's raised or not. But your temperature raises because you're going from this yin cold energy to this yang masculine hot energy, and that's when you're able to manifest a baby, get pregnant, or sometimes we don't always have to have physical births to be able to birth something from our womb space, because like I said, creative energy and sexual energy are the same energy. So you might be birthing a baby or you might be birthing a business. It just really depends. I'm gonna go back to the Yoni steaming. Seven, I wish you would take that.
Bianca, while you find this, can I just say, like, 'cause I live in a multi-generational home, and this applies to my mother the way it applies to my daughter. My mother is no longer menstruating, but her womb space still holds life. She still has her phases. She goes through her cycle. She may not drop a physical period, but energetically, she does have a menstruation cycle once a month. And I think that can be said for all of us in this chat today, that even though we may not physically pass a period no longer, because some of us have hysterectomy, some of us have had, other personal conditions, which you can discuss in a consultation. I will say that this is all energetic. So you may not be pushing out a physical period, but your body still has to excrete and deposit certain things. So like this is still relevant, even though you may not no longer hold a womb in your body. You're still womb space. It's still energetically a womb in your body. You're still a woman.
And even men still they don't have a physical uterus, but they still have a womb space because they still have that chakra. And instead of it being called like the womb, it's called the hara. So like they still have, and men also still, it's only like 5%, but men go through hot flashes too. They just don't go through them like we do. So back to steaming. This is when not to steam. So if you're currently menstruating, like on your physical period right now, you cannot do a Yoni steam. You can do a Yoni steam as soon as you're done. You can do a Yoni steam right before, like the day before it comes, but you just can't steam while you're bleeding. Women under 38 weeks pregnant should not Yoni steam. You can Yoni steam if you are trying to induce labor naturally. I wouldn't do it myself, but I would have somebody who's skilled help you with trying to induce labor naturally, because I don't believe in inductions, like having a doctor induce you. Women who breastfeed, it's a contradiction. You can steam, but you have to have a blend that's catered to lactation. Otherwise, some herbs can counteract with the breastfeeding. Women who have arm implant, contraception, hormonal IUD aren't advised to steam. And I know women that still do, but I always just give the disclaimer because I don't want to be, liable for anything. But sometimes it's just that the steam could hypothetically move the IUD. And for the arm implant, it can kind of lessen the effectiveness of the arm implant. If you have an active herpes infection, like you have an active breakout, then you shouldn't steam because the heat can make it worse. Let me see what your questions are before I go on. You steam as a young girl. See, yes, Haitian Caribbean tradition is also after childbirth. Yes. During the full moon cycles, I Yoni Steam for my womb space to release is now. So yes, I love it. I love that, Lavender. So, some women feel like, oh, I don't have a womb. I don't need to, Yoni Steam. Or like I've had conversations with, oh, I'm in menopause. I don't get my period no more. I don't need that stuff. And it's like, you need it. If you have a womb, I feel like everyone that has a womb space should Yoni Steam. That's my, I'm sorry. Can you just cooperate with me, please? Hold on. Can you cooperate, Seven? How to steam at home. You want me to pop my breast out on this video? Okay. Facilitating your own healing in the comfort of your home is very easy. So you can sit over a metal bowl, kind of like a mixing bowl. And if you're familiar with yoga, it could be in a child's pose position. I'll show you on the next slide. And there are a few times where you can use a steaming seat and a hot plate. So these are different steaming positions. So this is like the child's pose position where she would have this bowl under her. And she here is sitting on a seat, and then she has this under her with the bowl on top. Now, women who have fibroids, endometriosis, menorrhagia, which is like really, really extreme, painful, heavy periods, I usually use a steaming plate for them because they need more controlled heat going to the yoni at one time. Women who are just doing like maintenance and things like that, she can generally just use a steaming pot that she maybe boiled on the stove and then she put into the bowl. She doesn't need as much controlled heat. And then if you look, she's closer to the bowl. So the heat is going directly, whereas this one, she's a little further, even though she's sitting and you can't really see she's a little further from the bowl. So it's nice to have the hot plate on so it can keep the controlled steam. Any questions?
Somebody has said, how often should you do it?
Okay, so the Korean spas do offer this service. However, I'm not a Korean spa Yoni Steam girl. I like to do things with more intention, and these Korean spas, it's not an intentional based thing. They are literally just giving you the same herbs that they give everybody else, and it's not going based off of the energy so like, if I'm going to have a girls' day with my friends, then yeah, maybe I'll go to a Korean spa. But if I have fibroids, endometriosis, I'm trying to get pregnant and all these things, I would probably do something more intentional and have an actual blend created for myself. You can get as far as how often to steam, it really depends on your intention. So if you're a woman who, you're just trying to steam for general maintenance and you just want to have that connection to your womb, you can do maybe once or twice a month. If you're a woman who has fibroids and we're, depending on how big they are, we're trying to get them to shrink, I may tell you like you need to steam twice a week. It just really depends on what it is that what your intention of steaming is. If you're trying to steam for fertility, I might have you steam, like twice a week, 3 times a week for a certain amount of time. Don't you with my Yoni eggs,
Trying to
boy.
get you to move the chats. They can't see the slides. Thank
So it really just depends on where you are and what your intention for steaming is to know how often, but I would say at least once a month. So yeah, preparing your steam at home, you just prepare it on your stove like you make tea. So you do 3 to 4 tablespoons of herbs with 8-ounce glass of water, preferably spring or purified in a pot. You boil the herbs on the stove. You can either boil the water and let the herbs steep and cool in them for 5 minutes or so, or you could boil the water with the herbs. Whatever you choose, always choose them with intention. Fill your herbs. I always like to tell people to bless their herbs and really, visualize your desired outcome for what it is you're steaming for. During your Yoni Steam session, you can wear something long and flowy, a maxi dress or skirt, or just a long skirt that's going to go over the chair that you're using or over the steam that you're doing it on. Always make sure that you have socks on, because if you have cold feet, you have cold uterus. Only women that I suggest don't really wear or make sure they're like really warm is women who suffer from maybe like hot flashes, maybe a woman who has herpes, high blood pressure. She wouldn't be so, because the goal is to stay warm to keep your body to be able to eliminate all the stagnancy within your womb. But if you are prone to hot flashes, high blood pressure, whatever, we want to keep your body temperature controlled. So you wouldn't wear socks on your feet, or you wouldn't, sometimes I'll wear like a long skirt like this or a long dress like this, and I'll put like a robe over it because I'm trying to be as warm as possible. But for somebody who maybe have hot flashes or, those compromising things, you would just make sure your feet are covered. That's good enough. Let me check this chat real quick. Steaming is such a trendy service now. Why do you recommend asking or looking for when searching for? Yeah, so people think that steaming has become such a trendy thing when it's really an ancient practice that's very sacred. But a lot of women like Gwyneth Paltrow and stuff like that from Goop, she started steaming and she made it like a big thing. And people think that it's this new age thing when it's really like your ancestors been steaming for years. So I want to suggest going on Amazon and buying a Yoni Steam. I would suggest you going to a certified Yoni Steam practitioner or herbalist who can create you a steam based off of your needs. Because Yoni Steam is not always one size fits all. I do have universal blends that are helpful for everyone, but then there are cases where you need a customized blend. So it depends on, how long is your menstrual cycle? Sometimes if you have a 24, 27-day menstrual cycle and lower, there's certain herbs in this blend that you can't use. So you just have to really go to somebody who's a trusted professional. So common misconceptions of Yoni steaming can be like, oh, steaming caused my BV to get worse. Steaming caused cramps to get worse. Steaming caused me to get a yeast infection. Doctor didn't recommend vaginal steaming. So when it comes to women, I think that steaming made her BV worse. Only thing that the steam is going to do to your vagina is bring down whatever was already festering in your vagina. So if you had overgrowth of bacteria in your vagina and you just maybe didn't even feel it yet, it's bringing it down. If you had, a yeast up in there and you haven't really gotten to feeling it yet, it's going to bring it down, because the steam is really kind of like liquefying whatever's up there and bringing it down. And as far as your cramps getting worse, your first period can be, and I say this because this is how I was taught, but when but it's not a real life thing for me. Most women that I have steam with, their first period is substantially different than their period. Like they see a right away difference. They like, my period was less painful. I didn't get headaches. I didn't throw up or whatever. But then there are some cases where they say that that first period could be a little more heavier than normal. And I feel like the only reason, I know doctors that do recommend yoni steaming, and then I know doctors that don't recommend yoni steaming. And the difference between the two is one was educated on it and the other one wasn't. Let's see. Yeah, and it's, yes, Joe, definitely a purge of a lot of different just emotions, physical, like, you know, the other day I had been doing a yoni steam for somebody and they broke up with their boyfriend like 15 minutes later, and she was like, it was a yoni steam. And I'm like, see, because you're purging past sexual energies, you're purging things that are no longer in alignment with you. And sometimes that may be your relationship. So here goes your question again. How long is a yoni steam session? So yoni steaming is about 30 minutes long per session. I don't really suggest doing anything longer than that, unless say you're like on a yoni steam and you turn off the heat and now you're just letting it cool. Then that's okay. You saying something, ma'am?
Yeah, where is somebody? Who am I talking to?
Bianca?
Yeah, my order, I didn't want tomatoes on there, but it put tomatoes on it anyway.
Moynier, I think you're Moynier. I think you want to mute.
I can't hear you.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Go ahead, Bianca.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So yeah, women with menstrual cycle 27 days or less, you're considered a sensitive steamer, and I may tell you to just steam for 10 minutes at a time just for you to feel it out and see how it coincides with your body. And if you have, herpes, IUD, or irrational cycles, then you will definitely steam with a mild steam for about 10-15 minutes until we figure out, what's a good steaming method or practice for you. After a steaming session, like I said, you're likely to change the course of your menses, often a great deal of material and like debris and stuff that might come out. Sometimes if you have like a yeast infection, you'll see like yeast discharge in the water. If you've had, sometimes the water might be cloudy if you have had any type of infections. And then there's times where I do yoni steams for women and I see a heart in the water because that just shows you how much their yoni really loves them, So it just really depends on what it is that you are trying to, like, you're not going to see your fibroid come out in the yoni steam. But you may go to the doctor in 3 months and find out that the fibroid is not there or it has shrunken significantly. I've had women who've had ovarian cysts, go to the doctor. They told them they had cysts. They came to me. They steamed with me. They went back to the doctor. They didn't have cysts anymore. My mom, for one, I remember her having. I wanted to talk about the parts of the vagina. So if you're familiar with the inner labia or the inner lips, which kind of protects the vaginal canal, we have 2 glands on each side and they're called Bartholin glands. And sometimes these glands get obstructed and they start to fill up. So the Bartholin glands help us secrete vaginal moisture when we're aroused. So sometimes those glands get obstructed and they get filled with secretion and they form a cyst. And I've never seen my mom cry a day in her life, but there was one day I went in her room and she was crying because she's like, I have something down there. I think it's a cyst. I didn't look at it, but I was like, where is it? And she told me, and I said, oh, it's a Bartholin cyst. I said, you should try yoni steaming. And I said, if it doesn't work, then we just go to the hospital, because at the hospital, they're going to lance it, they're going to drain it, and they're going to do all this packet, and I can't. So I was like, let's try steaming. So she steamed.
I want to make sure this is toasted.
So she steamed and she did 2 sessions, like that night, and then she did one the next day, and it steamed and the cyst disappeared.
Oh, it is? And you cut it in half, please? Okay, thank you.
So I am a firm believer of steaming for cysts, oils, hemorrhoids, hair bumps. And then these
Someone
are
is unmuted.
To mute her. Moyeen doesn't realize she's not muted. I don't know why I can't mute. Can you mute her, Kelthia? Go
I was
ahead.
trying. It wasn't
Go
working.
ahead, Bianca.
So these are all of our offerings that we offer here at BU Beauty as far as the products that we offer. So we have hand blended Yoni steams. You can book a consultation with me. You can pre-order our Yoni Steam book. We have vaginal. So let's talk about the products that we use on our vaginas. So can you drop in the chat what kind of products you guys use? I find that a lot of women, the products that they use, they typically use it because it's something that they've seen in their house. So I know for me, you know, growing up, I might have seen my mom, you know, use Summer's Eve. So then I just go and buy Summer's Eve and I'm using it, or Dove or whatever it is, and I use it, but I don't really know why I'm using it besides the fact that my mom used it. You know, I don't know if it really aligns with my chemistry and all that stuff. So I'm just curious. I use BU Beauty.
Bianca, please behave yourself when you see the answers, because I know
am.
how you feel about certain conglomerates
I
and
am.
how many years they've been holding space for the Black woman. But I am so excited. While you scroll through, I've been holding these products up for a minute, y'all. We're gonna go over all of them one by one by one by one by one by one.
Vagisil wash, spray, and wipes. Okay, so none of these products are really formulated for the vagina. So the pH of the vagina is between a 3.8 and a 4.5 on the pH scale, which means that the vagina is acidic. Hold on. Can we put the link, Joe, to the products in the chat? So make sure
do it again.
Make sure your vagina is very acidic by nature. A lot of these products, Summer's Eve, Vagisil, Dove soap. Dove soap is a beauty bar. It's not a cleanser, and it's made with a lot of chemicals that don't align with the vaginal pH. A lot of these products are also made with fragrances, and so the word fragrance alone, the word fragrance alone has about 1,200 chemicals behind the word fragrance. They're not going to sit there and list 1,200 chemicals on a label. But the word fragrance, when you see fragrance in there, that means that there's 1,200 chemicals just in the fragrance part of the soap alone, basically. So being mindful of when you look at ingredients, you know what they are, you can read them, you know what they do for the body. So we have a honey-based soap. Looks like this. It's pH balancing, antifungal, antibacterial.
Can you guys see her? I don't know if they're seeing you or they're seeing your screen. Can somebody tell me? What are you seeing, Carla?
We can see it. We can see the soap.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay. Go
honey-
ahead.
Something up.
Go ahead.
This kid is like, hold on.
Here they are.
He's doing well. He's not
Thank
crying.
you.
And he's hungry.
He's pulling my hair out, and that hurts.
Here's the
So,
here's the product.
yes, you can read the products, the ingredients on the box: antifungal, antibacterial, pH balancing, handcrafted, natural, cruelty-free. And it's made with honey, coconut oil, tea tree, rose, apple cider vinegar, lavender, and it's all natural ingredients that are going to keep your yoni. Yes, everyone needs a Joe. Yes. It just keeps your yoni confident. The girls say it builds coochie confidence. You can use it all over your body or just on the yoni. I know women that love it on their face. They love it all over their body. They love it definitely for the yoni area. And this soap for the vagina, if you just use it strictly on the vagina, it can last you up to maybe 2 months.
Lies.
Then we have, for those of you who like wash, like a yoni wash instead of bar soap, this is a yoni wash, and it's made with aloe leaf, glycerin, grapeseed extract, sage, thyme, lemongrass, turmeric, and then it has all the other ingredients that the Yoni soap has: lemongrass, honey, apple cider vinegar. And you can also use this all over your body, face, body, vagina, or just on the vagina. And then we have a lot of women's favorite. She got the big bottle. It's a small bottle. It's called Amrita. So this is a Yoni oil. It's made with rose quartz crystals, chasteberry, rose petals, lavender. And it's great for, you know, a preventative oil. So it's great for balancing the pH. It's great for hair bumps, cysts, ingrown hairs. If you have any vaginal pH, like if your vagina is angry, this is a great oil, but it's also a great pleasure oil. So a lot of my women who have vaginal dryness, if they're in menopause stages, they really, really love this oil. I have women that they can't have any type of sexual intercourse unless they're using this oil. And on top of that, it's made with aphrodisiac ingredients. So it helps just boost the intensity of the sexual experience if that's what you decide to use it for. We also offer organic pads. We're working on getting our Yoni seats made, but if you, we also have something, show them the kit, boo. We have something called the Coochie kit, which is a whole kit of our sacred Yoni products. It's great for a woman who is just, you know, trying to fill it out and wants to have a little experience of all the products at one time because she's trying to go on a more holistic journey with her products. Or it's great for a woman, a young girl who's just entering puberty for her first time and she needs to be kind of like, you know, like I said, because the products that you use when you're young kind of sets the tone for the products that you're going to use for the rest of your life. So this is a great introductory of just great products because, you know, people count calories, but they don't count chemicals. And a lot of the chemicals and things that we use in our products and we just are exposed to every day is one of the contributing factors to why our wombs are in such disarray. So it's really important that we are more intentional with the products we use. So even if you don't buy anything from me, I would stay away from a Summer's Eve, a Vagisil, a Dove soap. Yeah, definitely. So I would just buy more products that are plant-based and more formulated for the feminine body than what you see in your everyday drugstore. Can the oil
question, can you use the oils with
Yeah.
condoms? And if
Yes,
so,
no, so you can't use this oil with condoms because it's a coconut-based oil and it will more than likely pop the condom. So I would do more water-based lubricant if you're somebody to have to use condoms. Will this be on replay? We are recording it and I believe it'll be on YouTube, so there will be a replay. Yes. What are your thoughts on Kegel balls? Do you recommend or not?
Grab my egg.
Huh?
I should grab my egg. You have one?
Seven just had the eggs in his hand. I'm like, hold up.
Yeah, you had
Aren't
the
you using my coochie egg? Aren't you holding my coochie eggs? So Kegels are great for women who suffer from uterine prolapse, which happens when the top of our vagina oftentimes falls into the bottom of the vagina and it can actually protrude out of the vagina. That's kind of like extreme maybe vaginal prolapse. It can definitely get there, but a lot of women also just suffer from even the smallest vaginal prolapse from having a child. You know, your bladder, you can't.
Or like a chronic cough, Bianca, like that, or that strain.
Right, I was about to say, like, yeah, so your vagina is a muscle, you know, so anything can kind of strain that muscle. So doing Kegels is effective with, and also Yoni steaming because the herbs, some of the herbs in the steams are great for tightening and toning. So it'll help. And then when you Yoni steam for like postpartum, it actually helps put your organs back into place. So I am an advocate of Kegels. However, I can also get you in touch with a pelvic floor therapist because I feel like it's very important for women to know the state of their pelvic floor before they start trying things. Because sometimes, like, yeah, the vagina is a muscle, but sometimes the muscle is too tight and you need it to loosen up. But everybody thinks that, oh, I need to do Kegel because I need a tight vagina. But sometimes your vagina is just too tight already, you know, and you need to do things that's going to loosen it up. The balls, whether it's a Kegel ball or a Yoni egg, it's not going to help you loosen your vagina up. So this is more for people who are wanting to tighten and tone their vagina. Some women's vagina is tight all the time that they don't even know how to relax their vaginas. And speaking of, so I want everybody to take a second and just open their mouth, because your mouth and your vagina are connected. And oftentimes women who have silenced themselves, women that don't speak up about things. I always tell women, like, if you don't speak up about whatever is bothering you, all those emotions and stuff go straight into your womb. And so you just relaxing your jaw, you literally just relax your vagina. So just be mindful of speaking over yourself, just speaking up and speaking outwardly about things that bother you, because whatever is festering inside, you're just doing a disservice to your womb. And so I am going to read this poem before I get sidetracked again.
Remove your chats. I'm not sure if your chats are going to show on the recording. I hope not, but we'll see. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. So it's called And I Call Myself a Woman. How can I become a woman when I don't know my womb? I've never had a conversation with my womb, so how can I consider myself a woman? I've been with you, grown with you, been through rites of passage with you, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, and yet I have never had a conversation with you. You've been a victim, a consequence to an action, a symptom of a disease, an effect of my action. I have never spoken to you, consulted with you, inquired of you, cared for you, or understood you. And I call myself a woman. Where have I grown? How could I have grown without talking with you, without acknowledging your presence in your works? And I call myself a woman. I've put you through dozens of men, alien spirits, beings, entities of all dimensions, from all places and stations. I've created and destroyed babies through you. I've fed you all kinds of poisons, thereby creating fibroids, tumors, cysts, and the like. I've sexually abused you, thereby creating sexually transmitted diseases, infections of all types, itching, burning, hurting, pain. I've used you for my own purposes, money, favors, alleged self-esteem, beauty, clothing, food. I've allowed men to probe you, doctors to drug you while I've held you down. If I had known someone who had done all these things, I would call them the names I despise the most: murderer, thief, liar, betrayer, demon. Yes, I would. And I call myself a woman. Time to release, 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 and forgive, forgive, forgive me. I am complete. I'll be responsible for you, for myself, for my womb. We are in a relationship together. We have been from the very, very beginning. I will commune and communicate with you. I will listen to you. I will wash, cleanse, and purify you. I will pay attention to your patterns, your moods, your signs, and your wonders. I will become the woman that you made me from the beginning.
I love the vows at the end of that poem, because the front, you got a little shaky in the beginning. It sounded like a lot of self-inflicted harm, but at the end, the poem rounds out with vows that we make to ourselves, that now that we know how important, now that we know how precious the life source is, now with this newfound information, we can move forward and begin the real work.
So how do you guys feel after that?
I thought I think the whole conversation is interesting because the poem sums it up. We don't even know who takes the time. I mean, I don't know, speak for myself. I think most women, we don't really put a whole lot of time and energy into getting to know our body parts. Shakira, did you want to speak? Just go ahead.
Yeah, I just really want to say thank you so much, Bianca. This has really been informative and empowering. I'm going to be calling on you. I'll get your information through Helen. I've just been appointed to a new authority here in New Jersey. The governor created something called the Maternal and Infant Health Innovation Authority, and it will result, excuse me, in a women's health center here in Trenton. I'm going to make sure, I'll do all that I can to make sure that there is a birthing center attached. But I think the kind of information that you're sharing is vital, and especially for women who have very little means, and that is the predominant case here in Trenton. The kind of information that you're sharing will go a long way, I think, in reducing the trauma that is caused by poverty and violence. And I think that I'm going to look forward to calling on you so that we can figure out a way for you for you to serve the women. This is a long-term prospect. It's my appointment is for 4 years, so I don't expect that we'll have anything up and running for at least another 2 to 3. But but just keep that in your,
My goal is to, a little backstory about me also. I had a home birth back in August. I had an unassisted home birth with my son's father and we had a doula here. And one of my goals is to open up a birthing center, a wellness birthing center.
Wonderful.
And I am from New Jersey, so been toggling back and forth of if I'm going to stay here, if I need to take my magic back home and really, support my community. So I would love to stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Can you stop the share, Bianca?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yep.
It's okay.
I'll put my if you don't mind, I'll put my email in the chat, and you can just send me an email.
Right now, yes, absolutely. Right now, I'm located in Los Angeles, and I will be back in New Jersey for about 2 months, sometime next month.
Well, it doesn't matter that you're in Los Angeles. We're hearing you right here and right now.
Yes, absolutely. And then, so thank you so much for having me today. I want to, we just read something a little, heavy, but do you guys want me to get into menopause a little bit?
Yes, and even you mentioned doula. I'm going to imagine, I'm not sure if there are women on here who are looking to give birth, or just talk about the role of a doula, and okay.
Somebody says there's
birth
Yeah,
work
I'm
in
looking.
Birth
I'm
working in general it's the point of having birth workers is to advocate for ourselves as Black women. We go to these hospitals and these settings and nobody takes us serious, or sometimes we're in, when you're giving birth, you're going through dimensions, you're not even really there the whole time. And you're asked to make these decisions that you don't always know what you're, saying yes to. So having a birth worker is there to really advocate for your needs. And make sure that, you have a birth plan that we're going to stick by. If you don't want a cesarean, then make sure you're not going to have a cesarean unless there's emergency issues at hand that you have to actually have the cesarean. But we all know, like, as a Black women, cesareans are just, prescribed to us like Skittles. So it's just really knowing your rights as a woman and knowing, what you are and what you aren't going to stand for, and having someone really back you up. So there's certain states that you can have like your sister or your mom as your doula, and then there's certain states where you have to be a certified doula. So I had a doula who was a student midwife, and I met her maybe 2 months before I got pregnant. And I've wanted a home birth since I was like 9 years old. I always said, like, when I have my baby, I'm having the water. People are like, girl, what you talking about? And I mean, I guess I knew what I was talking about back then, but moving to California has allowed me to have the means to have the birthing experience that I've always wanted. So I realized that I was always really scared about childbirth. It was one of my biggest fears my whole life. And I realized I wasn't, because then my mom was like, you don't even seem nervous that I'm 7 months pregnant. She's like, you don't even seem nervous that you're about to give birth. And it wasn't giving birth, I realized. It was giving birth in the hospital that I was most scared of. So I had a birthing pool in my living room area. I was able to control my environment. When you have a baby in the hospital, you can't control your environment. You know, you have all these lights, you have all these voices, all these people that your baby doesn't voice, like is not even familiar with. You know, at least when I've had all these home care visits and my baby was hearing the same voices all the time. So when he came out, he knew who was around him, as opposed to, you know, you may be on a Medicaid type of insurance. You don't know who's going to deliver your baby. You can see 4 or 5 different doctors in that, you know, gestation period and never really know who's delivering your baby. So it was about a rapport for me and just having the experience that I wanted. Did it go exactly how I wanted to? No, because he wanted to do what he wanted to do, right? So I wanted to, so my thing with too, I'm very spiritual, as you guys can probably tell by now. I didn't have any medical equipment at my birthing experience, and I really just trusted my intuition. So I never knew how much I was dilating. I never knew nothing. I just trusted my intuition, and I would ask him questions, and based off his movements and stuff, I'm like, yes, no, you don't want to. So I wanted to Yoni steam when I was in labor. He didn't want me to. I asked him, he said no. I said, okay. I wanted to have him in the water. I didn't have him in the water. He decided to come out when I got on the bed. So I had everything prepared just in case he decided to come on the bed, but like I didn't get though. I was in the water throughout the day for the hours or whatever, but the actual labor itself was not in the water. So afterwards, I took him to his first doctor appointment a couple of days later, and we've been smooth sailing ever since. And people ask me, would you do it again? And I would do it again. Like, I'm not gonna have my baby at home and then go and have him in the hospital after that. Like, so it was beautiful. And I just think that, giving women options, birthing center, hospital, your home, your ancestors were birthed at home. So I had somebody tell me like, oh, because everybody had like backlash about what I was deciding to do, to the point where I stopped talking about it. Cause I'm like, I'm tired of hearing people push their experiences. Oh, you're going to need that epidural. You're going to need it. And I just stopped telling people. And I didn't need any of it. And I just feel like, your ancestors, like I said, were born at home. And that's how your great-great-great-grandmother got here, and having a baby is not a medical condition unless it's a medical condition, unless you have, I made sure I stayed under the radar with a lot of things so that I wouldn't have to have a C-section. But if I had my baby in the hospital, I'm 100% sure they would have given me a C-section, 100%. Because since I was 6 months, they were telling me like, about C-sections. Like, yeah, we're probably gonna have to give you a C-section. Because you see, I'm a small frame woman. I gained like 56 pounds when I was pregnant. And I was huge. And they just kept telling me, like, you gaining too much weight. And it was just like a lot of fear mongering. Every time I went to the doctor, I just hated the experience. And and they were like, oh, because if you have him at the hospital, because when you have him in the hospital, in my head, I'm like, I'm not having him in the hospital. But I never really told them, because once I mentioned it one time, they kind of tried to talk me out of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to mention no more, just stay under the radar. And when I went to my first OB appointment with my doctor, who I really loved a lot, but I knew she wasn't going to be the one delivering my baby. Even if she had been, I may have been like a little more lenient, like, all right, maybe I'll have him in the hospital. But I knew she wasn't going to be the one to deliver my baby. But she was so proud of me when I came to my first doctor's appointment. Like, she was in tears. And she was like, wow, like, it was just so empowering. And, like, you really followed your gut. And, I just wish, she just always kept saying, I wish everybody could have the pregnancy experience that you had. So I want to give people that experience, or help them, if I can. So I'm definitely.
I remember listening to your podcast, the young lady that you were interviewing, she said she used both a midwife and a doula. Do you recommend both, or either or?
I recommend both. And she said she had 2 doulas, I want to say, because
one for her baby.
One for her, one for the baby, right? So for me, I had a midwife who was a doula. I definitely think you should have both, because the misconception is a midwife and a doula are the same thing. So a midwife is someone who is licensed to be able to deliver your baby. A doula is not able to deliver babies unless she's a midwife and a doula. So some women just think you need a doula. Some people think you just need a midwife. Like if you can afford to have both, then have both. If you're having a baby at home, I definitely suggest having a midwife or a
A
midwife,
birth worker. Yeah.
somebody who has the knowledge of being able to deliver your baby. Because for me, my doula was a student midwife. She wasn't licensed to birth babies yet, but even though she has all this information, so she wasn't able to make any medical decisions for me. And like I just said, when you have a baby, they say that when you have a baby, you literally have to go and retrieve your baby's soul and bring it back. So as I'm out in the cosmos looking for the soul somewhere, she asking me questions and I'm like, can you just make a decision? And she's like, no, I can't, because I told you guys, like, this is going to be between you. So it really also showed me the teamwork between me and my partner, because we were able to really just work off of each other. And she, we had a beautiful baby. But like, do I suggest everybody do it my exact way? No.
But have a birth worker, and
But
there's
have a birth worker.
there's space for everybody. I mean, I'm done having children, but I definitely dabble in it because I know the importance of advocacy, and because I love women so much, and I'm always want to be have a supportive role, and because I work here by extension of Bianca, I definitely want to support her in that way. So if we are in a closed setting, I definitely want to lend that extra hand. So I think that everybody that is a woman should at least learn about birth work so we can support a woman or be something we've never had.
Right.
Real quickly, because the other thing that fascinated, I want to talk a little bit about the C-sections and how is there a percentage of Black women who are getting them? And I remember you all saying that, these doctors, they'll tell you need a C-section because they can be home to watch football. They don't have to get up in the middle of the night. They schedule the baby. But also talk about the whole, and I'm going to stop talking, talk about that whole afterbirth, because the way that you all described it, I had never, of course, I've never had a baby either, but I mean, I didn't really think of it as another birth. I mean, the way that you described it in your podcast was different.
So, Black and Hispanic women are about 21%, 26% more likely than white women to have a C-section during childbirth. When I went to the hospital, so after I had this baby and it pushed him out naturally, I was petrified to go to the hospital because I didn't want stitches. So I waited like 2 days to go to the hospital because I didn't want stitches. And honestly, in that 2 days, I kind of messed up my milk supply because I also wasn't drinking enough fluids because I didn't want to use the bathroom because it was painful to urinate. So, but when I get to the hospital finally, and I talked to the nurse and I, oh, you have children or whatever. She told me she had one. And I said, would you have another one? She said, no. She said, the amount of C-sections that they have in the hospitals are ridiculous. She said, most babies come during the middle of the night. So most babies come when a doctor is on call. So now a doctor has to wake up, come in or whatever, do a C-section. Most doctors want to get back in their bed. So they just schedule you a C-section, even though you may not need one, just because they want to get back to watch football, whatever, go back to sleep, just for their convenience. They will schedule you a C-section. Now, when you go to a doctor and once you put your race in as a Black woman, you're already flagged and they will tell you that this person's going to need a C-section. If you guys watch the documentary called Aftershock on Amazon Prime
and Hulu,
it talks about the Black disparities that we face in the medical system, and why C-sections are also so high because it's more money. So they get about like $50,000, I want to say, per C-section. And a lot of these C-sections really pay the anesthesiology department. This is how they pay their anesthesiology department, by providing these prescribing all of these C-sections for women. And it's faster. So it's kind of like, I remember, talking to someone who was giving birth and they're like, oh, I'm number 3 in a C-section. And it's just like, you just online, like waiting to get your car maintenance. Like, yeah, I'm number 3. I'm just waiting, and it's in and out. It's just really the convenience. Not to say there aren't times where you need a C-section. There are definitely times where you need a C-section, but it kind of gets overshadowed when they're just doing it for convenience. Like, it takes away from the importance of it, of the modern medicine when you need it, but we just overuse it. Women should be able to give birth vaginally.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, if you had a C-section, you can't give birth vaginally after that. And it's bullshit. Now, for me, I know I would have had a C-section if I went to the hospital, because Seven's umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck twice. And had they seen that, they would have been like, oh, you need a C-section. But clearly, we didn't need a C-section. So I think also just really trusting your body, knowing your rights, and knowing, maybe if you pick in a hospital, you want to look at their C-section rates. You want to just see how often they do these things. So it's I feel like it's a genocide. It's another genocide. Hysterectomy is just definitely a genocide. C-section is definitely a genocide. They don't tell us, like, the healing process of a C-section. They give you a C-section, 2 days later, you back home. 3 days later, you back home. Back in the day, you used to be in the hospital for at least a week after having, it's a major surgery, and nobody looks at a C-section as a major surgery. You're cutting through 7 layers of tissue and everything, and I just feel like it needs to be spoken about more in regards to how it's just a capitalistic type of thing.
We're getting late on time, and I know a lot of the women have questions around menopause. So if you can jump into that a little bit.
Shakira, you raising your hand? You can
Yeah,
unmute.
Go ahead, Shakira.
I just want to be very quick about this. I know that childbirth is a very natural process that has happened since the beginning of time. And I think that it is the complications that have come from, the social determinants of health, poverty, violence, trauma, all the challenges that confront Black and Brown people that have resulted in the fact that, I don't know if you know the statistic specifically, but I do know that the United States has the highest maternal morbidity rate than any other developed country. We're like something like somewhere between maybe 8 and 12 in terms of the number terms of the number of women who die in childbirth. And I want to suggest that the reason why the United States has such a high rate is because of the high rate of morbidity among African American women who descended from slaves, not African women who come here, from the continent 1 or 2 generations ago, not Caribbean women, not South American Black women.
No, it's Black women in the U.S. It's U.S.
Yeah.
Black women.
Yes. Here in New Jersey, it's something like we die in childbirth something like 4 or 5 times more than anyone else, and more than white women. And so I don't want us to take this lightly about the process of childbirth. I do think that we can do it naturally, but I do think also we need the ancient wisdom, the wisdom of our foremothers that helped us to get through that process. So it's one of the reasons why I really support what you're doing.
Thank you.
I wanted to say that before I have to go.
Thank you. I also feel like our morbidity rate is higher because a lot of these other countries, they do home births. And they will fund your home birth. I think it's like Dublin or something, or Switzerland. They give you money to have your home birth. Where here it's like the home birth rate is so low, but in other places it's way higher than here. And then their morbidity rate is way lower in places that they, say they suggest. Right. So I don't know. Do you guys, I don't know, Helen, they're asking if you want to do part 2 for menopause.
I saw that. We definitely, it's
Well,
getting kind
menopause
of
deserves
late.
its own conversation. It deserves its own conversation from
Yeah,
hormones.
I don't want to rush through it.
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't want to just give you a couple facts about menopause. I want to, talk to you guys about it and your experience.
yeah.
So I'm
So why
down.
don't we, I mean, if you're willing to come back and do a part two, of course, we'd love to have you. Um, and I think a lot of the women on here are either approaching menopause, in menopause, and
Or
maybe,
premenopausal. Hi, I've been diagnosed with premenopause. Hello. Hi.
Before we go,
oh, wait, we have one more hand before we go. Donna
I
Bailey,
wanted
thank
to ask
you.
Diane, I also wanted to ask Diane to, I'm gonna go to Donna, but I also want to ask Diane to share before we go. But I want to
Okay,
get to Donna.
Diane,
We could go to Donna first. Diane, are you
Diane,
Diane?
Diane
Parsons?
Parsons, is that who we're talking about?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Okay, so
I-
I'm gonna answer Donna's question, and you mind sharing your experience real quick?
Sure.
Donna, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, hi. The question, I guess it is around menopause, but I asked it 3 times in the chat and I really want the answer because I'm experiencing it. So I've been having burning on urination just in my urethra. I did see my GYN in November and yes, I have not been drinking a lot of water. Can't explain why, but I know it's something with aging because I get that with my patients. Anyway, what she said was as you age, if you're menopausal or postmenopausal, that could dry. Now I've heard of vaginal drying, but I'm talking the urethra where the urine comes out. So she was saying that that could be, well, she felt it was from that.
Yeah, so we have we have glands in our urethra too that kind of keep it lubricated. So those glands might be drying out, which is making it hard for you to urinate. I'm sorry. So I would
Yeah.
look into herbs besides drinking, drinking enough water, making sure your sugar is moderated and stuff like that, because we don't want it to turn into a UTI. So
Yeah.
I
I
would,
just had urine done 2 weeks ago, so it's normal.
so
When I saw her, uh-huh.
Uva ursi is a great herb for UTI infections in the urethra. I'll put it in the chat.
Uba Ursi.
And okra water.
It's in the chat, Miss Bailey.
It's great. Okra water is great. I'm not an okra water drinker because I'm big on texture, but I know a lot of women that have, great experiences with okra water. Even I would even steam if you don't want to use herbs. I would try just steaming with hot water.
Can you just spell the name of that herb?
Uva.
It's in the chats, Miss Bailey. Look in the chat.
Also, what's I gonna say? What kind of products are you using?
I don't use products. Like I remember my mom using that hot water bottle that you guys talked about, the red one. But since like high school, I've never used anything. That whole summer's eve and all that. I've never used anything. I'm fine, I'm fresh. I don't have an odor or anything.
Okay, I would suggest maybe using, I'm not saying try my soap because it's my soap, but I'm saying try it because of what the ingredients are for that area. It may help with the burning sensation.
All right, it's irritating. And also, I know over time when tissue is chronically irritated, they could mutate and turn
And it's
into
also too, like, people use scented tissue brands, pulling back even the clitoral hood and making sure it's clean under there because it holds, debris and tissue and stuff like that. So, just being a little more, paying more attention, I would say. Not to say you don't pay attention, but
right.
Yeah,
I'm
not
like,
to diminish
is it
the
too
attention
much?
that you pay, but it's like I said, like maybe you having some type of irritation. So like water is not going to just do it. You need something that has something in it that's going to help you. And then if it helps you after that, you can go back to your water. But maybe just try something for now.
Yeah, something to calm the inflammation because I don't want it to keep
Even
irritating the
the
tissue.
yoni soap, I would suggest the yoni soap or the yoni oil.
Okay, so just make an appointment on the calendar.
So, for the products, you can just
Yeah.
go to I'm gonna put it right here.
BeYourBeauty.com.
BeYourBeauty.com/yoni.
Okay.
And yeah, you'll be able to see the products there. And if you wanted to book a consultation after that, I would say use the products for like a week or two and see what it does. And if you want to book a consultation after that, I can make you a Yoni Steam for that issue.
Okay, thanks a lot for taking my question.
You're welcome.
And it was highly informative. I appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having
Ms. Bailey. Please come again. Real quick,
Okay.
Moyeen, is your question the same question that you have in the chat, or is it something different? Moyeen? Moyeen? I don't know. She's here.
She has to unmute. I just invite, oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to ask her, oh, there we go.
She just had her camera on. She just turned it off. All right,
Yeah.
so let's go ahead and talk to Diane. Moyeen will come back with us. Diane, did you want to turn on your camera? There you go.
Okay, you know what? Hi, everybody. Apologies. I have not mastered the camera and the Zoom thing today. I'm so sorry. Apologies.
I think
But
you took it off, still can't see you, but it's okay.
I have it on and I'm not able to turn it around. So it actually, if I picked it up, you would see outside of my window that I'm looking at. So
Okay.
I didn't want to waste a whole lot of time getting a lesson on how to fix the camera, but this is me. I promise. I'm Diane Parsons. And I have to thank you so much, Bianca. You are fresh as ever. Thank you, ladies, and the collective for all the questions and just setting the stage for more and more and more answers to be made. So let's see, I met Bianca over 10 years ago in 2013 in January. And I had been hosting health and wellness workshops in my home. And a family member of Bianca's introduced us because I had just survived final stage ovarian. So I'd spoken to Bianca about it and realized her brilliance, that instantly I knew that we were going to be fast friends and in the sisterhood as well. So I hosted Bianca to come and speak to the women in my circles and share a lot of her wisdom and continue to develop over the years. But I had a second round of final stage ovarian. So I almost died twice. I'm now in the percentile of 1% of the women who have had this rare disease, that a particular kind of cancer that I had. So I started listening up real fast when Bianca began to bring up a lot of knowledge about the Yoni health. And so I will say that I was, the beginning of this hour, a couple of, well, many questions ago, I was doing a Yoni Steam, and I wanted to I didn't know that I wasn't going to be able to speak on it at that time. I was going to go through the machinations and all of the feelings of at least what I do. That has been conducive to my health tremendously over the years. For me, I've made a ceremony out of it. I call in what I call like a gathering of the elders. It's so great, Bianca, that you're talking about the grandmothers and the great grandmothers. And I think of it as just a vast, probably even thousands, even beyond our scope in the physical sense that, we're quantum beings. We're speaking to the past mothers and all the grands, our grandfathers as well, who've carried a a lot of the wounds emotionally as well, which of course is held in the sacral chakra, right? So that's what lended itself to my becoming a reverend. And I've been practicing many practices around the sacral chakra and working with other women as well for healing purposes and looking at what the protocols would be best for themselves as well as myself. And almost all the time, as much as I can grab one of my products that I go to, actually all the time when I go to Bianca's gatherings, I have my own collection of your Yoni bars and your pads for women. Actually, I'm a part of a suit against Johnson and Johnson. It's so old now. I'm forgetting the names. I used to use pads always, and all of those guys, and it is believed that from a lot of the feminine products that you guys were talking about earlier, that is how a lot of the uterine cancer and the ovarian cancers came into being in the first place. So I speak from, that truth, and really there are just so much more of a higher truth. And I try not to stay in low vibrational spaces like lawsuits. I think we're far beyond that, especially now. But so anyway, yeah, I wanted to talk about how much the pads themselves have saved my life. I still bleed, and the doctors don't know much about what's going on. And I have called upon Bianca for her love and support and her services. And she guides me through the feminine tea and the different things that she's is a part of her product line. And she actually just guides me through what to do and how to lessen whatever pain or whatever bleeding, whatever side effects that I still might be going through. And, my health and my progress is organic.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I don't go to I mean, I have a holistic doctor. She's also African American. So I stay pretty much as close to the indigenous roots that, our dear Mother Earth has gifted us. That's all I can really think to say. Other than I just love you so much, Bianca.
Thank you so much, Diane.
I'll be hosting something again for a gathering. We're not sure exactly when Bianca will be getting into town, but
for those of you who are in New York, Jersey area, we'd love to have you in person, an in-person presentation if you are, open to it.
And also for those of you who are on this call, just like we've had Bianca here in this virtual circle today, you all are women, you're involved in different organizations. I'm seeing from the chats that you're finding this information very useful. So you don't have to wait for her to be in Jersey. You can reach out to her, and I'm sure she will meet with your groups. And I'm sure just like this is information for all of us, and she's here to share it. So,
Diane, can you share real quick how you had that stent stuck and then the vaginal steaming helped you?
Oh my goodness, of course. Yes. And I skipped over the part about I had a radical hysterectomy. So they took all of my organs, including some of the smaller ones around it, the appendix and something else. So what they began to do the second time around was they had to add stents around the markers of where the cancer was to protect, so they said, to protect me from any further touching or, touching of those organs from the cancer cells. So anyway, long story short, the stents got stuck. I went back to get them removed twice. they were unsuccessful. And of course, I had to finally think to pull Bianca in tears. And she guided me through what to do on the steams, especially the steams. And the soap, I'm sure, helped as well. And the next time they went in, it was a surgical procedure because it was incrustation. That's what they called it. The stents had become encrusted when the organs recognize that something has been in a foreign body, is in the body for too long, then it just forms things around it so that it can protect itself from any further contamination. And Bianca got me in there real fast. I started with my steams with her particular blend. And so of course that following time, which wasn't a long time, it was like a week or two, Bianca, right? It was less than a couple of weeks, that's for sure. So it wasn't even, 4 or so steams. And when I went back in, it was just easy peasy. It wasn't a lengthy period of time that they had been tugging on these organs as they had been. So it's been a time. But I'm here, and thank you. Yes.
You are a blessing. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. You never know who may be going through something similar, or knowing somebody who may be going through something similar. And just want to show you the vast spectrum of what vaginal steaming could do for women, instead of seeing it as such a trendy, oh, let's go sit on the steam with my girls. It's really a healing, sacred practice that, a lot of Black women especially should benefit and could benefit from. And I just dropped my email in the chat. If you guys, feel free to send me a email if you want to, connect further, whether you want me on your platform, you want information, or you want to come to a session, there's my email. And yes, thank you so much for sharing, Diane. And I look forward to seeing you and, creating some magic when I get home.
Absolutely. Well, the music never stops.
Right. This was so amazing. This is the most women I've ever spoken in front of. I don't do talks often. A lot of people know that I'm very much a introvert in a sense. I will give you a bunch of one-on-one information, but when it comes to people, I'm like, oh no, people. But this was amazing. And I just thank you, Helen, for, breaking me out of my comfort zone and allowing me to share my knowledge. And
this has been a lot of good information. I think everybody here learned something new. Before we're going to have Bianca back so that we can talk specifically about menopause, because you're either it's coming your way or it's come your way, or.
Right.
But before we let her go, let me just ask real quickly if there are any other burning questions for today that you want to have answered before we let her go. And if it is, just unmute your camera and speak up, please, because I can't see hands.
I don't have a question, but I definitely have a remark in regards to watching the Aftershock documentary. I wouldn't be who I am, but I rep my set. Shamani Makiba Gibson lived. Okay, she is no longer Earthside, but her children live on. Her partner lives on, and they will tell the tale of a beautiful, amazing, artistic woman who lost her life as a casualty to giving birth to another woman. And morbidity touches us all in different ways. If we don't have a womb, if we no longer bearing children, we have a due diligence to another woman in that space for advocacy. And I hope that we all just learn something different about a different level of sisterhood today, that we are our sister's keeper. The more we know, the more we can serve. So I hope that everybody leaves full and whole. And I'm so excited to keep saying over and over again, Shamani Makiba Gibson lived. And these are one of the reasons to have these conversations, to hold space for them like this.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just ordered the soap, and I just want to clarify that the Yoni oil is also the nectar?
Yes.
Okay, because that's how it comes up. I wasn't sure. And the application, am I applying it to my
fingers?
I
1 second.
So I do it directly like this, guys. So
I
I do
wouldn't
1 or 2 drops right here,
insert
and
it.
I massage the labia.
Yeah, I wouldn't like insert it, and you can put the
Mhm.
nectar in the vagina, but I wouldn't insert the thing into the vagina and then put it back into your oil, because women have contaminated their oil that way. So
Since it's my urethra, then I guess I would just massage around the clitoris like
Yep,
she's
exactly.
saying.
Yep.
Right.
So
So
use
3
the
drops and
soap,
it go around.
Yep. Use the soap and then follow up with the oil. Just
dry, and then, okay, great. My order is in. Thank you.
It'll be out shortly.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted to give you guys a promo code. Damn, I forgot. Can I give y'all a promo code real quick if y'all want to?
Yeah, you
What is it called when Black women gather?
Black women
No, it's
gather.
something else.
Okay, we
No,
are
we're
one.
we're
I'm gonna
called
put,
when Black.
I'm gonna put, because that was your little code today. We are one, right?
Yeah, that was the
Oh,
passcode.
So
that's the passcode. Yes.
we are one. I'm going to make this a promo code, and I'm sorry, Donna, I'm just doing this now, and you ordered your product.
No, it's in the cart. I'm gonna ring out now.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
1 second. I'm gonna give y'all. Let me make a promo code real quick.
So while she makes a promo code, when you're doing your purchase, on the bottom of the purchase before the receipt is actually printed out, they ask for a promo code or a coupon code. In that box, put "We Are One" all together in one word, and that will grant you a small discount, as a thank you for holding space, but also, to commemorate this moment we're having today, and, to bless you guys with a little discount, because we love, 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 love having orders.
So I
Is
usually
it
get our
15% or higher?
15.
Okay. Because you had another one. Okay.
Yeah, it's 50. I usually give everybody's first order 15% off. So I just wanted to create so if you put "We Are One" in the promo code, you guys will get 15% off of.
Nice.
I want to say it's capital.
We are one,
Caps?
one word,
Caps,
caps.
We are one. Yeah, and it'll be active until the end of this month.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm not gonna just do it for a day like y'all have. No, it doesn't apply to the consultation, unfortunately. The consultation is booked through a different platform.
You have a store pickup. Is that only in Los Angeles?
And if we're in New Jersey too,
Right now it is only in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Usually we have it in Los Angeles and Jersey, but where are you located, ma'am?
Maplewood.
Oh yeah, because you're too far from me.
Okay.
So but I can do 2-day shipping. What's today?
Sunday.
You can get it by Wednesday if I did 2-day shipping. If not, you can get it by Friday.
Okay, that's perfect.
Hey, ATL.
Yes, Atlanta. Oh,
Yes, all the cities are here.
yes.
Any more questions or remarks? Come on, encourage me.
Let me know.
Let me just say, ladies, that for those of you who have not been here before, this is when Black women gather. We provide spaces we've been doing this since the pandemic. So actually, hey, it's 4 years this month. We've been doing it since March 2020, meeting online most Sundays and covering all kinds of topics. If in fact you are in the audience and have a topic that you want us to cover, please let me know. On the same vein, if you want to be a guest and have something of interest that you think would be interesting on Bianca's podcast, please let her know. I'm sure she would love to host you.
Absolutely.
And for those of you who have not been here before, donations are welcome. However you choose to do it, no donation is too small. I don't charge for any of this, and you guys get wonderful information every Sunday. And I appreciate you coming. So on that note, I am going to give the last word to Bianca, and then we're going to sign off. And this video will be available on YouTube. Lately I've been getting them out rather quickly. So
come on, Helen. Get it out.
Also, for those of you who are on Facebook, please join us on When Black Women Gather. That's our page on Facebook. There's a group, there's a page and a group, join the group. And also for you will get emails that are going to put you on a Google group. If you're not interested in being on the Google group, just simply, if you can't, sometimes people have a problem unsubscribing themselves. Just let me know and I will unsubscribe you. It's not a problem. But we will keep you on our list so you'll be aware of what's coming up next. I can tell you that our next meeting will be on April 7th. Next week, we will not meet because it's Easter. And then, so the next week we'll meet on April 7th. And we have 3 male doctors who we've had come talk to us before, and they've had a very powerful conversation. So we'll have that conversation. And also in April, we have a young lady who is the executive director for the Lupus Foundation. And lupus is a big problem for a lot of Black women. So we're going to talk to her on the 21st. So again, just giving you a heads up of some of what's coming. And then on that note, Miss Bianca, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I
So I
think
wanna
at some
close-
point there were over, at some point, maybe 64, 65 women on this call. So you did get a lot of exposure.
you.
Yeah, and you did a
Thank
great
you.
job.
I just want you
Nobody
know
would know. Nobody would
that I
know
don't
that
like
it's
that
you.
I'm that this is not my forte.
Exactly.
It's becoming, you know, it's my calling, and I can't be a gatekeeper of knowledge because I'm just catering to the disparities that are happening out here. So I'm just happy that you know, there's platforms like this, platforms like myself who are, you know, just educating women from all areas and all places and spaces of life, you know, whether they're in the puberty to, you know, menopausal stages. So I'm just happy that I've been able to talk to all of you today. And I want to close out by just, you know, put your hand over your yoni, because I don't know, you know, do you ever realize how much power is down there? I hope you guys feel powerful today. I hope you feel rejuvenated. I hope you feel, you know, that you're wanting to, you know, get into this yoni steaming journey and really feel what it is to really connect to your femininity and your womb. And just know that, you know, if this is you, then your ancestors chose you to do the work, chose you to heal your generations. You may not have anybody in your family that's doing this work, but you are in here for a reason. So you were chosen to do this work. So
Go off, Bianca.
yes.
You ate the slides.
Thank you.
The baby up. You ate.
Is that my
Ate it up.
partner
You
in
left
here?
no crumbs.
So this is what we're gonna do. Yoni, I'm calling you Yoni. Oh my goodness.
There you
Bianca,
go.
Bianca, go ahead and lead everybody in the closing exercise that you were about to do, and then we will.
Yes. So I just want you guys to, like you did earlier, put your hands, you know, your mudras, the yoni mudras on your womb, and take a few deep breaths. And I'm going to have you recite something really quickly. Let's see if I can find it. One second. So, because I know the poem was a little daunting, so I wanted to lighten it up, lighten your womb up a little bit. Hold on. Where is it? I don't think I can find it.
Joanne, can you demonstrate the hands again?
So it's your 2 thumbs and your 2 index. So the point of that is to kinetically connect your energy to create a source.
Thank
So
you.
when you apply a little pressure, you kind of feel the kinetic energy flowing through your body.
So
And
we're gonna, you can say it
too.
out loud or you can just listen to me. But close your eyes, take a deep breath, put your yoni mudra there, and I commit to heal myself. I commit to healing my womb, the womb that a nation generates, the womb that a nation penetrates. My birth and birthing babies, by birth and birthing babies, woman, womb that we do create. The hard blows and trauma that by what we ate, the dairy, the meats, the rape of your emotional, your physical being, the deed of you who enters my womb, my sugar wall, who I let enter in an angry, oh no, this is not the one I wanted to read. I'm sorry, that was a little too much. I love my womb. She pleases me. My womb is in perfect harmony. My womb is disease-free. There are no tumors, cysts, discharge, or PMS in my womb. My womb is happy and whole, free of any and all disease. I send love to my womb. I send peace to my womb. I send light and breath to my womb. My womb is a seat of my womanness. My power as a woman rests within me. I release and let go of all hurt, disappointments. As I affirm, I will turn every lesson into a blessing. I receive the lessons through my prayers and meditations. I release baggage from my womb's memory. I replace the whirlwind of negativity with truth and divine love. My womb will never again get stuck in the ignorance of womb disease, for I commit to my womb's wellness.
I commit to my womb's wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for having me today.
Absolutely
This was
beautiful.
amazing. I hope that you guys, enjoyed it as much as I did.
Absolutely. I think we had, do we have a guy in the house? I see a
Okay.
Rick.
That is Seven's daddy. That's
Oh,
my
hey,
son.
Seven's daddy.
That's Ricky.
He-
Oh, hi, daddy. That was so sweet. I didn't know how long he was in here, but
That's beautiful. He's supporting you. That's a beautiful thing. So if everybody can unmute unmute yourselves, and for those of you who know what we do at this time, we'll close out and we'll hang out for a minute after we'll stop recording for those who just want to hang out and ask a few more questions. But if you can unmute everybody, we have at the end of these sessions, I see a lot of new faces, so I'm not sure you all know what we do. But we always say when Black women gather, what happens?
Amazing.
Amazing things happen.
yes.
Amazing things happen.
Ashe.
Thank you. Thank you all for what turned out to be another amazing Sunday. I appreciate you, Miss Bianca. Is your
you.
mom still here? Is she still here?
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you.
here.
Yep, she's
Thank
there.
you, Miss
Oh,
Rose.
hey, Mama. Thank you.
Come on with
Thank
the
you, Miss
tea, Mama.
Martinez.
Thank
And I
you.
don't know if Diane is still here. Thank you too. Thank you
Thank
all
you,
for
Diane.
contributing
Thank
to
you.
a
Yes.
very
This is great.
informative Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye
you
now.
so much, ladies. I
Thank
look
you,
forward to coming
Seven.
back and talking about menopause with y'all.
All
And she'll
right.
be
Thank
back
you,
to do
Seven.
menopause for sure, for sure.